Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow South Africans and the world at large. It's your girl, Maddy T. And you know what this is. It's Maddy on everything. Welcome to another installation, episode 3 to be exact. Are you guys ready? It's going to be amazing. Let's chop it up. Hey, good people. Welcome to another installation of Maddy on Everything. It's your girls. I'm Kolotenjo Matungandaba, also known as Maddy T. And today is the one for my music lovers. As you guys know, as I told you guys that, you guys can expect to get a lot of content around art, around music, around, entertainment, because that is what I love, business. So in this episode, we're definitely going down the art route. We're going down the music route. I have a special guest with me today, our first guest on Maddy on Everything, which is totally cool. I cannot wait for you guys to, engage with us and hear what we have to say today and to meet this young man, this gentleman. So just to give you guys a little bit of context about our guest for today. So he is a 28-year-old artist and music producer from Mamelodi, Pretoria. Flaka was good. And I'm a Pretoria girl myself. So 012, we stay representing. Shout out. So he started his career when he was only 13 years old and he's never looked back. So he basically taught himself how to use FL Studio, make his own beats. And then in 2015, he released a self-produced project called Space Gods, and then released another project called Space God 2 in 2019, where he featured local artists from Pretoria, like the likes of your 25K, TTGO, as well as Deep Ganja Beats. So he also co-produced Trap Jumping. And if you're from South Africa and you're a hip-hop lover, you should know we got the Trap Jumping. I'm having lunch in Santen. Guys, if you don't know that track, what's going on? But yes, so he's been produced, he co-produced that track with Zuchiko Do on 25K's debut album, Peli Makaveli. And he also was featured on DJ Sabi's next up album, DJ Sabi from Metro FM. So guys, the man is working. If you already, I'm not even done. He's performed at Dino Cafe, Wits Beer Garden. You guys know I'm a Witsy. Snow Deep's Ultimate Experience, Homecoming Africa, shout out Homecoming team in Pretoria, Kofi Brooklyn, The Good Luck Bar, and 442. And he's been featured on Hype. Shout out Hype Magazine, Skipani, Slicker on Live. He's made TV appearances on Yo TV, The Morning Show, and he has been playlisted on radio stations such as YFM, Gagasi FM, Tswane FM, Tux FM, Vow FM, Unisa Radio, Massive Metro, Ukozi FM, etc. So this man loves to tell stories through his music that resonates with his listeners more than anything. And more than anything, he represents Mamelodi. And this is what makes him unique. So he is a Kasi boy, Flaka, what's up? 012 stand up. Guys, without further ado, please help me in introducing the first guest on Maddy on Everything, SpaceSaveLogic.
What's good?
Gracias. Intang Space.
I'm all good. How are you, Maddy?
I'm all good, thank you. So, you have quite a CV, if we could put it that way, or a profile, so you've been pushing, you've been hustling in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, so since you were 13, that you fell in love with music, what happened that you felt, that you want to become an artist, or, what was that? What was that moment?
I think first and foremost, thanks for having me here. Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? But my journey started from my parents, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
My parents Nabautwela, a lot of R&B, a lot of reggae, a lot of music that was so worldly and it's all over the world type thing. So
for sure,
that made me fall in love with music from a young age. So my dad was really Neretsamaka Mazda High, playing music, and Bob Marley. He introduced me to Bob Marley, those type of people. So from there, Joe, like I just had a passion just to make music and like just to figure out how do people actually do this. So I started just listening to more music and just diversifying my mind, what type of artists dealing thing in Mzansi, all over the world. So yeah, I think from like 10, 11, that's when I like started getting into actually making the actual music.
Okay.
Yeah, but the inspiration really comes from my folks, and yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So then, once you kind of, the bug kind of bit you and you were like, okay, I think I want to, do this, get into music.
Yeah.
Did you have other career aspirations, or was that like the one thing that you landed on to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do? Or are there like, other things that you're sort of interested in? Or, I mean, most people do have other things.
Sure, village or like, not even high school, primary school, like, Negedlala sports, it says by. And like, I was always like in tune with like what type of sports. Actually, because I played cricket, I played hockey, I played tennis.
Wow.
I played.
Really?
What else? Those are the ones in primary school that I was
playing.
Because
yeah.
I just wanted to learn, and learn and just be more diverse as a human being. And like, so I think with the sports thing, I'm a sports person. I'm into football. I'm into basketball. Any types of sports, like I'm really passionate about that. So yeah. Not only music, but yeah, sports is also something that I'm really interested in. Yeah. Amazing.
And I mean, I think that's right, like on brand or sort of proper, because even myself as an artist, I also gravitate to sports as well, in terms of just, sportsmen and artists kind of face similar challenges, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or are kind of like in the same space, quite a public space where people are watching what you're doing, your performance. They kind of face the same legal issues as well. So that's quite interesting that you're also big on sports. So are you telling me that like if you were in SpaceSaveLogic, we would have seen you on a
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah,
Save Ronaldo. You feel
Save Ronaldo.
And not the one with the card. No. The one CR7, please. Let's not get it twisted.
Not the one from the Brazil team.
No, not the one with
not
the
the
card.
one with the
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. So.
All right, cool. No, I totally get that. Okay, so let's go back into, your music and, your career. Like I said, you've been in the game for quite a while.
Yeah.
So what has been, I listed a lot of things that you've done. You've been on radio, you've been on television, you've performed at various venues. What has been the most memorable moment in your career so far, do you think?
I think for me, the most memorable will be performing on YoTV, because I grew up watching YoTV, and like,
we all did. Some of us from the 90s,
So yeah, it was a very like wild moment, because like I never thought that I'd be in that position and to perform and to get interviewed on YoTV. So I think that is one of my biggest like achievements in terms of showcasing who I am and like being seen, in the television space. So I'd say that YoTV was one of the biggest achievements.
So when did that happen? When was your interview, and what song were you singing or performing, or what was happening around there?
I think it happened in, if I'm not mistaken, 2019
For sure.
2020, before lockdown, right?
Yeah.
And then the song I performed was, what song did I perform? I think something about What Is Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that from there, like, I just saw her like, okay, cool. This music thing is something that I really want to like just go with it, because from that moment I was like, I've done YoTV, and then now we need to just do more stuff.
Just do more things,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
Okay, cool. So now, with that being said, like recently, what are your recent projects or albums that you have put out, and, essentially what has inspired the making of those recent projects and or song?
Yeah. So I've released a song called, not a song, an EP called Space God. 3.
Space God 3. Okay.
That dropped last year in September.
Okay, cool.
It was produced by my late brother Yamilo.
Okay.
R.I.P. to my bro.
May soul rest in peace.
So he really like took me into a different space in terms of the type of music that we were making at that moment in time, because the sound is very like unique. It's like it has that kind of feel. And then it also has like your Pitori lingo in it. So we were mixing a lot of things and trying to infuse like a lot of genres into that. So yeah, that's my latest project, Space God 3. He produced all the songs on there. He mixed and mastered. Like that guy was so talented, you know what I mean? Man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Space God 3 is like the latest project that I've just dropped. Yeah.
Okay, Space God 3. I love it. Sure. So okay, that sounds really, really cool. Like you're saying, a lot of influences influencing your sound. So I think at this point we will play a couple of songs, maybe like hear you like a couple of snippets of whatever song you choose. But what is like your favorite like song off of the project? Or I know you probably love every single song, but what songs would you like, people to know, or say like, listen to this, guys. Yeah. If you have to listen to one song, because we know people's attention is quite low these days.
Yeah, I'd say it's Taco Pitori, to be honest, because like I said, eventually when I started actually making the sound, like there was this moment where me and Yamilo had when we made Taco Pitori, you know what I mean? Like he lived like down the road from Konna. So he sent me the beat. In an hour, I'm coming there to record this song.
For sure.
And it was such a moment for us, because it was like, this is so organic. This is so real. This is Pitori. This is what the sound is, And from there, I was like, you know what? This is my favorite song that I've ever recorded in my life.
I love that.
Yeah. It just represents who I am, where I'm from, how we talk. Like,
Pitori. Happy Pretoria is a country, guys.
Exactly.
For those who don't know, Pretoria is a country. You know what I'm saying? So, Kililo Tela, Baskangu, like a Brela's core, sister feeling. Sako Cambridge. I actually just want to, like, as we're going, like, pull this up. So, you mentioned that, you lost your producer or someone really important to you.
Yeah.
My next question would be like, what has been the biggest challenge for you within music? Is that something? Or, what other challenges have you experienced in this space or in your career? Like, what has been a challenging moment or something challenging that you've experienced?
For now, like, music, it's like an up and down thing, Unga say kremi, unga say twari, So, like, losing him, obviously, I lost someone that we were planning to do great things together, like in terms of producing. And I'm also a producer myself.
For sure.
But like I felt like he was supposed to teach me so many things. I was supposed to learn from him. And I did. But I think also on a wider spectrum in terms of in the music industry, I think like there's been so many hardships, dude. I remember this one time, I had to do a radio interview with Val FM, and then it was like I'm 9. And like at that time, we were just catching cabs. So the interview ended at 11, and then I had to go to MTN to like catch a taxi. At that time, get 12. Yeah, we should.
And for those that don't know, Hebare MTN, guys, they're talking about a taxi rank in Johannesburg where it goes down. There is Nkabi Nation that is ruling at that taxi rank. It goes down. So to go to that taxi rank at 12 p.m. at night or like, it's not a joke. I wouldn't want to do that.
Exactly. So from there, there's been so many. It's just like having to persevere, like, every day, and like making sure like doing what you love, and this is the reason why I wake up, and this is the reason why I do music, having that thing to say like, this is what I believe in type thing. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, cool. I love that. So there's been a lot of challenges. You can't even.
For sure. Like, it's a lot, man. Like.
So I'm gonna just like play this a little bit, like just a bit. Let's just hear this. We'll play the proper thing, in the recorder, just to give people something.
Take it up, Pitori. Banyaga Lego Jones. Northwest Capstar to Dubani Bampo. Take fula ikiti babita na bochomi are she's down ungare ke mokoti azikama na mina seboti
Hey.
I know you got to but I'm sorry take it up Pitori.
I love this. Wow. Okay, amazing. Taco Pitori sounding too fire. Too fire, broski. Nice one. Class. Yeah, I'm feeling it. So tell us a little bit about the visualizer for Taco Pitori. I see, you've got the red hair. I love the dreadlocks. It's like my favorite thing. One of my favorite things. I'm like, you be looking like Quavo out here. But get spacey. Yeah. So tell us a bit about, your video as I'll be showing people a little bit of a clip or,
No doubt. So the video was shot by one of the homies called Black Tato. He runs a company called Black Tay Media. Okay. He's so good in terms of content and how he shoots, he's also done things for Muchini, Dedriki, he's really coming up, and he's so great in what he does, and he like everything that's happening for him, I'm proud of him,
That's cool.
And like we're still gonna work on other visuals, just waiting on getting the treatments right and making sure that everything is on par.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So then let's talk about a little bit more about your creative process. So with Space God 3, you told me what inspired it. You spoke about the Kanda sound, you spoke about the Pitori sound, and that this is where it's at. And now I just like in terms of like writing new music, because like you said, maybe you heard a beat, it comes to you organically, But what do you go through when it comes to songwriting? And has it changed from when you first started to now, that process of actually putting songs together and writing songs?
For me, like the songwriting thing comes from obviously an idea and then making sure that you execute the idea to the way you've thought about that thing. Okay. You know what I mean? Like making sure that the lyrics match your idea, because sometimes like you get an idea but you can't really say or do what the idea is. So I always look for inspiration and I always look for inspiration outside of music. Okay. So I'm a person that likes to read. I'm a person that likes to watch tutorials. Somebody that likes to learn. So in most cases, like my inspiration and my pen comes from like reading and also like the lingo, from Pitori. Obviously that is like in my blood type thing. I can't really say that it's from somewhere else. It's just I'm born and bred in this type of
this environment.
Exactly. So so the pen game and songwriting is just inspired by like a lot of things. Like it can just be us shooting this podcast today. Then I'll just go back, create a beat, and then after that write to it. It's just all about expressing yourself and making sure that you write everything down. Because sometimes you can think of an idea and you don't do anything and then it just goes away.
Love it.
So God is always sending signals. You just gotta catch them.
Love it. Exactly. I love it. I love someone who is God-centered and inviting God into your work, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously not excluding anyone who doesn't believe in God, but over here we do. So that's really cool. And I wanted to ask you, do you have any sort of rituals or habits or things that get you into that creative zone?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I always like try to make sure that my environment, first and foremost, in the studio, that it's a safe space, and like when I get in there, light a candle, obviously, making sure that the vibes are right, man. Like you can't be out here making music and then your spirit and your whole space, where you making the music is not okay. So I always make sure that the vibes is within me. And I make sure that I'm good. Because if you're not good, then you won't really put out your best work. So yeah.
I love that. So do you prefer do you like to do studio like sober, or do you like to have like a drink, or
there's always that
spliff or something.
There's always that. Like that's something that is like part of like the entertainment industry.
For sure.
A drink here, a spliff there. But I'm a spliff guy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a spliff guy, not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So don't get it twisted.
Get me on that Zaza. Get me on that Zaza.
So the Zaza also, like, it doesn't really change what I'm saying or how I say it. For sure. It's just a easy thing that just makes me feel like calm and all that. Yeah.
Alright. So we are gonna start wrapping it up, but a couple of last questions. Who are your biggest musical influences and how do you think they've shaped your sound?
First and foremost, the Lil Wayne.
Lil
Lil Wayne. So,
Weezy F baby,
Weezy F
please
baby,
say
and
the
F is for-
baby.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like for me,
Love Wayne.
the reason why I got into music is because of Wayne. Anybody else other than that, like I don't think they've given me that thing to say,
I love
I'm
Wayne.
supposed to be doing music. Wayne really painted a picture for me of how to do
Yeah.
this music thing. And from there, I was like, this is my goat. Anybody else, I mean, respect to all the OGs and all that, but
Yeah.
and now like I'm looking at Drake's career and I'm
Yeah.
like, looking at Nicki's career as like, yo, Wayne really birthed so
Yeah.
many artists. And
For
for me,
sure.
eventually, like I also want to be that guy that
Love
is so
that.
good at his craft, but he's also able to
Like put other
bring
people
on,
on
yeah,
for
for
sure. Yeah, that is definitely like what I'm also like trying to
Yeah,
do as
so
well.
I'd say Lil Wayne, Drake,
Yeah.
I think the whole Young Money crew, like,
Yeah.
they were really like they pushed the needle in terms of what they were doing. Yeah.
Okay. So you do draw a lot of influence from them and like
Yeah,
how they
for
do their
sure. Yeah,
things
for
and their
sure.
sound. And is there any sort of artist or genre that you recently discovered that you're excited about?
There's this sound, right? I don't. It's still hip hop,
Yeah.
but there's these guys called like your Cash Cobains. Like there's no kicks in their like
Okay, Cash
sound,
Cobain.
right?
Okay.
There's like these weird sounds. So
Okay.
they really catching my eye in terms of the sound. There's this guy called Low Shimmy. I like that guy's music. Like so I'm always on the lookout for like new music, and so I'd say the genre it's still hip hop. But I'm also like an alternative type of guy. Like I listen to Maddy Jordan. I listen to Billie Eilish. Like there's a lot of artists that I try to tap into.
Billie Eilish.
Yeah,
we
for
like
sure.
her. We
Yeah,
like
for
her
sure.
too. Yeah.
So a Lil Dragon as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very diverse in terms of the musical taste that I
That
consume.
you
Because
consume.
at the end of the day, you can't just consume hip hop because your mind will still be just like hip hop. So yeah.
Exactly. You've got to kind of give everything.
Exactly.
So then tell me, do you have any sort of plans for the future? Like what is Space going to be doing in the next 6 months or the next year or in the next 3 months or even next weekend? Hell.
Yeah, for sure.
But like with regards to your music.
My music, yeah, for sure. Like I just really hope that I can just make a proper album, that's gonna come out, probably next year or EP. But
Yeah.
I'm working on an album. I'm also working on a company project whereby
sure.
obviously I've got a company called BU Entertainment.
BU Entertainment.
And then so we're really
Okay.
working on BU Volume 1 where we'll feature a lot of artists everywhere around South Africa.
Awesome.
And then also starting my own podcast as well. I think
Yeah.
that's also something,
For
seeing you doing your
sure.
thing,
Yeah.
like, is also something I'm looking forward to trying. And then
Definitely.
also just being in the entertainment space more without having to do music, but just
Love that. Yeah.
be in very important places and like make moves that will shock the world type thing. Yeah.
100%. And I mean, like, lastly, I'm going to share one story before we end, but lastly, what advice did you have to like young artists who are trying to break into the industry or break into the entertainment industry? Someone who is, I mean, I'm 30 right now, I'm turning 31 in December 2024. But maybe there's a 22-year-old or a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old. Because I mean, a lot of the people are quite young.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm like a low-key OG. I'm an underground OG. Not going to be underground for much longer, though. Not for much longer. But, right now, I would consider myself an underground OG. So what would you say to those that are young, who don't have as much life experience as we do? What can you tell them? What advice would you give to them?
So I always like go with these 3 things, right? Trust God, be yourself,
for sure,
and then just always like be in the space because
that.
like everywhere you are, there's important people that are there. So just make sure you're aware, and then you just take care of yourself, man.
Amazing, I love that. Trust God, be yourself. And make sure you're there. So be present, and I really think that like opportunity, like luck is opportunity meets preparation.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So
sure.
if you in a place you know, where there are the right people and you're prepared, you're there.
100%.
So you've put yourself closer to reaching that dream. So
True.
100%. Thank you so much for that advice.
No.
I wanted to end this episode by actually just sharing an interesting fact about how Space and I actually met. And we met at a YouTube event, because chances are you're going to be watching this show on YouTube, okay?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that is the really, really interesting thing about how we met. We met at a YouTube event. It was a YouTube music. They were celebrating Africa Month. And this gentleman over here was like, "Ayo, sis."
Did we meet at the bar?
At the bar, yeah. We met at the bar. You know? And it was like, "Yo, sis." And I was like, "Yo." And I already noticed him. His hair was almost like this, but it had like the little like bullocky thingies. So yeah, guys. But the point is, you know, we recently met, and we both met in like a space that we were both very passionate about, which was music. So, you know, put yourself out there, make connections. And I mean, I must say shout out to him, because sometimes I'm still getting out of my shyness, you know. People think, oh, you're an extrovert. Like, I have an element of overthinking some things, and sometimes being in my head.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, shout out to you for getting me out of my head and just being like, yo, girl, what's up? You know,
let's do this.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, definitely, guys, when you go out there, like, put yourself out there, meet people. Don't be shy. Don't think that everybody who's hollering at you is just trying to, like, you know, I don't know, like, mac on you. You know how sometimes people just be walking past, hey, girl, and be like, oh, no, you could be missing your bag. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, I definitely encourage you guys to connect with people. This is how Space and I connected, and it's been such an honor to have you on the show, and I'm definitely going to have you again, and you're definitely going to start your own show where I am already telling you I will be a guest.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And this is a little picture of us when about a week ago we were at Put Me On Switch, an event hosted by DJ Switch, one of our, you know, prominent OGs here in South Africa in the hip hop space, in the entertainment space, and we were having a good time. So maybe we'll show you guys the whole video in edits and all not and whatnot. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. That's episode 3, Maddy on everything. It's been a pleasure, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks, Space.